In this video series, we're going to focus on how to create a polar area chart here, where we have these three circular segments that will look very nicely and hit the very bottom of our chart area. So let's start to look how to do this. So let's start to look how to create a scattered polar area chart in chartjs 4, which is part 1. This is part 1 of the video series. What we're going to do is before we start, we need to make sure we have the boiler template. That's this one here. You can find here on chartjs3.com getting started. This link you can find as well in the description box. Once shown here, copy this code and you're good to go. If you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page. We have access to many different source codes. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to say here bubble, save that, refresh, and let's convert that one immediately into a proper bubble. Let's make a bubble here. For the bubble, I'm going to put in here. I'm going to say here the x will be, let's say 9, the y value will be 9, and then we have the r value or the radius will be equal to 9 as well. So we have a very basic item. Let's put in 2 more. Alright, comma, comma. Then we're going to say here this will be 6, this will be 3, and this one will be 6, and let's say that will be same. Save, refresh. Alright, so now we have them nicely spread out. Let's start to create these circular shapes in here. That's the whole point of this. So we're going to scroll down here. We're going to put here comma. I'm going to create a plugin. So we say plugins, and then put in here circular segments. Copy that. Let's say slash this plugin block constant this equals ID. Put in that. And I'm going to say here, before data sets draw. The reason why we do this is because we want to draw it before we draw the points of, or the bubble points basically, the data sets. So in here we'll be needing the chart. We won't be using the arcs and the plugins, but I'll just put it in there as a standard procedure. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to do here an object destructuring, and our object destructuring in this case, and if you don't understand what an object destructuring is, check out my video understanding chartjs object destructuring. I'm going to say here ctx, I'm going to say here the chart area, and then I'm going to say here the top, the bottom, the left, right, width, and then the height. I'm not sure if we're going to use them all, but having them all is just being prepared. Do we need anything else? Probably not, but we'll see about that. So now, what I want to do is the following. I want to draw a circular shape here. So let's start to draw that. So how do we do this? First of all, I'm going to say ctx.save to save all variables above. And this will be important because later on we need to use restore as well. So what I'm going to do here is ctx.begin path. And I will explain later on we're going to restore, so don't worry about that. First of all, we're going to say the begin path because I want to create a shape that is independent of anything else. Then what I want to do here is to create basically a circular shape. So our circular shape should start somewhere. Well, we should have a circle from this point to here or somewhere there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say here ctx.arc, so we can draw a arc shape. And to do this, I need to have basically the values in here. So, or basically I need to, if I start here up, then I need to make sure we have the arc here. So how do we do this? Let's see, we basically need 5 values. We have here the x, the y, the radius, and then we have here angle start, and then angle end, and then we have counterclockwise, yes or no in this case, so there are 6 values. But this one is false, so we leave it. This one here will become important. Alright, if we want to be here at the very center, we say we want to start here, and from there on we make a half, basically a half moon shape. So in that case, what I need to do here is get into this exact position here. I will make it very simple by calculating it, but we could basically also do with an x and y value. Or what I mean by x and y, based on the values of our scale. So for example, I want to be on a 6 or 7, and it starts here. I'll show you that later on. So let's start to work on the very simple one. The center here, this one here, is basically the width, which basically is from this point all the way to the end, divide by 2, and then here we have a left padding basically. So what I'm going to say here, this will be the width divided by 2 plus left. That's number 1. Then we have the y, and I guess what I would do is I'll just put in some values first, and then we can start to see more and more as we go along. Here, this is the angle, and here we're going to work with math.pi, but I'll make it very simple. We're going to say this, and then we say here, let's say here 360. So 360, so we say angle multiplied by 360, and the angle here must be specified. So I'm going to say here, a constant, and then we say here angle will be equal to math.pi divided by 180. 1 pi is a half circle, 2 pi is 360. So that's why here we're getting here basically 360. So then what I will say here, ctx dot stroke or fill, that could be one or the other. So if you do a stroke, it's a circle. If I do fill, it will be a circle with a border color or background color. So what I want to do now is I want to push this down. I guess in the next video I'm going to start working on that, and I'm going to use a nice trick for